Okay, here we go. I'm Georgia, and if everyone else wants to introduce themselves too.
Maurice, Harley.
Aaliyah.
The family that we chose to do was the Incredibles. They are all composed of like super strengths. Mr. Incredible, he is the dad to the Incredible family. He is the husband to Elastigirl and dad to Violet, Dash, and Jack Jack. His strength or his superhero, he is a superhero with superhuman strength. One of the body systems is the muscular system. Just a few basic points. It is composed of skeletal muscles that attach bones and allow for movement. Muscle strength depends on the fiber size and the fiber type, either type 1 or type 2. Different muscle contractions depend on certain proteins, actin and myosin. And then the skeletal muscle picture just shows the different skeletal muscle structure organization. And then the cardiovascular system is composed of the heart, blood vessels, and blood. The heart is the central pump. The arteries carry blood away from the heart, and then the veins carry blood back into the heart, and then capillaries help exchange substances in the body. The primary function is to transport oxygen, nutrients, hormones, and waste products throughout the body. And then the respiratory system is composed of the nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, and lungs. And then the primary function is to bring oxygen into the body and remove carbon dioxide. When muscles work hard, the respiratory system works to reduce oxygen and ATP. And then just relationship of muscle composition to Mr. Incredible. So muscle contraction, he has sliding filament mechanism, but he is scaled up massively. His sarcomeres might contract within 10 times the force. Calcium release is extremely rapid. Um, Motor unit recruitment is full recruitment of all motor units, unlike humans who have to like build up and do it gradually. The muscle fiber types dominantly fast twitch, so he is the type 2, and then he doesn't ever like get tired, so he can go like strength and endurance for a long time. And then his superhuman strength based on steroids. So the muscle fiber hypertrophy, humans on steroids is up to 20 to 45% muscle mass within 10 to 16 weeks, while Mr. Incredible is exaggerated hypertrophy, 5 to 10 times human muscle size. Myonuclear addition is up 66% more myonuclei during steroid use. Permanent muscle memory for Mr. Incredible, satellite cell activation, um, which humans on steroids, it grows and regenerates their muscles. And Mr. Incredible, he can have instant acts or instant recovery after damage. Strength output is up 20 to 40% in bench and squat with humans. And then Mr. Incredible is able to lift cars, punch through walls. The tendon connective tissue support for humans is up tendon stiffness and collagen cross linking. And then Mr. Incredible has super durable tendons supporting his superhuman force. This picture is from a female that received testosterone for around 14 days. The muscle fiber size was measured. So the blue is your nuclei and the green is the fibers. Um, the left is before steroids, the middle is during it, and then the 14 days is when she finished taking the steroids. The graphs just show the difference. So the one on the left is the 66% with steroids. And then on the right, the fiber size is what grows 31 in the primed or worked muscles, and then 6% in the untrained muscles. And then the main takeaway is that steroids cause muscle changes and the nuclei act as muscle memory, enabling superhuman strength. And then drawback of steroids in the cardiovascular system, myocardial hypertrophy and fibrosis stiffen the heart muscle, um, which reduces stroke volume and diastolic dysfunction. Arrhythmias and risks threaten life, especially under stress. And then the respiratory system, steroids cause bronchial hyperresponsiveness, airway narrowing, and then this can lead to reduced pulmonary function and acute dyspnea. And then the picture just kind of explains that a little more.
I chose to do Elastigirl. Elastigirl has a superpower of extreme elasticity. Her powers are used for offense, defense, stealth, and agility, and she's married to Mr. Incredible and is the mom to Violet, Dash, and Jack Jack. So this is essentially explaining the cardiovascular system. It's a four-chambered pressure-based organ. There's arteries, veins, and capillaries that are included with that. Arteries carry oxygen-rich blood from the heart to the tissues. Veins carry it back to the heart, and capillaries are where gases and nutrients are exchanged. It also regulates blood pressure and helps with nervous system control, and it also allows for venous return, which would be the valves in the veins, as well as muscular contractions can assist in the venous return process. So the physiology of the superhuman based on the mimic octopus. So the psychological trait would be distributing pressure support. And then our superhuman would need to have adaptations, peristaltic smooth muscle bands, just like the mimic octopus and how they have accessory hearts at the base of the limbs. There's local flow control, and then that adaptation would be reflexive vasodilation and constriction. And then the mimic octopus displays this in neural control of the arms perfusion. Then we have enhanced venous return, which the adaptation would be muscle-driven venous peristalsis. And then the mimic octopus would have muscle-assisted return flow. And then we have vessel elasticity. And then the superhuman adaptation for that would be hyperextensible arteries and veins, which would be seen in the mimic octopus as the compliant non-rigid vessels. And finally, we have the stroke volume. In our superhuman, it would need increased stroke volume via preload enhancement. And then in the mimic octopus, this is seen as elevated stroke volume during movement. So in this diagram, it's essentially showing the cardiovascular system of the mimic octopus. It demonstrates the current knowledge that we have of that, and then what we need to be seeing a little bit more in our Elastigirl superhuman. This was collected through research and scans of multiple octopi over time, and then the figure should provide a baseline for what the superhuman should have to make it atomically feasible. Um, how would the superpower affect the human? So it cause vascular stretch stress, which would then increase the vessel length, raises vascular resistance, making it more difficult for the blood to have proper flow. Then we have a higher risk of ischemia. If the vessels are not compensated to low oxygen can occur, immediately threatening the tissue function and health of cells. Then we have venous pooling and edema, which can impair, again, venous return, allowing for fluid accumulation, which and fluid disbalance and homeostasis would also be uh, kind of troubled with that. And then we have the baroreceptors distribution. These receptors can misfire, triggering incorrect reflexes such as vasodilation and constriction. And then finally, we have cardiac overload, which, with the vessels being longer, the muscle itself could not fatigue, causing weakness, failure, other long-term effects. And then up here in this image right here, it's just showing the damaged vein valves and what that could do. This diagram here is showing the overstretching of blood vessels based on the tests being done at the time. And then it can show us how there will need to be some adaptations made to the normal human to create the superhuman viable.
All right, baby Jack Jack, that's me. This is baby Jack Jack from The Incredibles, and if y'all have seen the movie, he kind of has a variety of different superpowers that like are kind of undisclosed in both Incredibles 1 and Incredibles 2, but the one that I'm going to be focusing on today is the one that's more uh apparent in the Incredibles 2 movie. And it's the like laser cutting eyes. He has these like green laser cutting eyes that like cut through glass and different substances. Anyway. Okay, so the normal human anatomy and physiology of the eye, the cornea, obviously there's all these external structures that help us receive the image that we're seeing. The cornea being one of them, it bends the light, kind of acts as like kind of a lens. And then the iris controls, it's the muscle that controls how much light we let in. The lens focuses it on the back of the eye, which is the retina. The retina is what contains the rods and the cones. The rods help us see things in when the lights are dim, when it's dark outside, and cones help us with colors. Um, the optic nerve carries this signal from the eye to the brain, and then the brain processes the image that we see. Um, Naturally, yes, the human eye detects light but can't naturally emit or shoot lasers. Okay. In 2011, scientists created the first biological laser using a living human cell. Um, the cell was engineered to emit coherent laser light using green fluorescent protein. With the right mirrors and stimulation, the cell acted as a tiny living laser emitter. If a human naturally developed similar fluorescent proteins in the eyes, they could theoretically serve as a laser gain medium. Mutated eye structures like curved corneas or reflective tissues could act like mirrors to focus and direct the beam. A powerful energy source like cellular ATP or mutant metabolism might provide enough light stimulation. Jack Jack's eyes could combine bioluminescent proteins plus internal optics to mimic this process. While exaggerated, the superpower is a fictional extension of real biological laser science. And then this is a diagram of just like the really basic physics of a laser. So the gain medium amplifies light, and that would be in this analogy, the fluorescent proteins in the ocular cells in Jack Jack's eyes. The pump source provides the excitation energy, and that would be the hyper-efficient cellular metabolism. The mirrors ref uh, reflect light feedback in optical cavity. And in Jack Jack, that would be the curved cornea or reflective tissue that's analogous. The output coupler, which is the mirror, it's the partial beam exit. And in Jack Jack, that would be the pupil of the eye. And then the output beam um, its function is coherent laser light, and that would be Jack Jack's visible eye beam, the green lasers. Okay, problems that this would cause. A lot. Retinal eye burns and irreversible damage. The photo to the right is actually burns from lasers on human retinas. So not good. Not good at all. Macular holes and vision loss, photochemical and thermal damage, intraretinal hemorrhage and scarring. So needless to say, while it's fun to think about the idea that we could have superhuman power based on this one study in 2011 using laser from a biological cell, it wouldn't be good for us. And that's it.
Okay. I have Violet Parr. She's a teenage superhero from The Incredibles. She has two main powers, invisibility and force field. Her abilities reflect her personality because she's shy and reserved, but she also protects her family and others. Okay. The human anatomy for physiology for invisibility. Um, The two related systems involved is the integumentary system and the nervous system. The integumentary system protects the body, acting as a barrier against injury, infection, and dehydration, while also helping regulate temperature. It includes the skin, hair, nails, sweat glands, and oil glands. The nervous system controls and coordinates the body's activities by transmitting signals between the brain, spinal cord, and the rest of the body. For comparison, chromatophores, um, sorry, chromatophores reflect light differently. These two pictures show the cells reflecting the light powered by nerve signals, like how cephalopods camouflage instantly. The human anatomy and physiology for force field. Um, the two systems would be muscular system and the nervous system. The muscular system allows the body to move, maintain posture, and produce heat through the contraction of muscles. The nervous system controls and coordinates the body's activities by transmitting signals between the brain, spinal cord, and the rest of the body. So for the nervous system, it controls the Violet will control from her brain's ability to generate the shape of the force field using bioelectricity. Her body generates an energy field like advanced plasma shield, possibly enhanced electromagnetic control from her nervous system, forming a barrier. So bioelectricity, cells use electric signals to communicate and form barriers. These two diaphragms just show how cells use electricity in nature. I think Violet just uses a super version of this to push out energy into a force field. Homeostasis and drawback for invisibility. The constant skin color change could interfere with thermolation, UV protection, and nerve fatigue. Thermogulation is the process by which the body maintains a stable temperature even when the environment around changes. This could trap or reflect heat differently. For UV protection, it refers to the body's ability to block or reduce the harmful effects of ultraviolet rays from the sun. Nerve fatigue, it's when nerves become less responsive or slow to send signals after being overused or overstimulated. This could be from frequent activation of pigment cells. The drawback for force fields. Force fields overload may throw off electrolyte balance, which is the proper level of minerals like sodium, potassium, calcium in the body, which is essential for muscle function, nerve signaling. Energy drain or ATP overload happens when the body uses ATP, which is the main energy source, faster than it can produce it, leading to fatigue, muscle weakness, or reduced performance. Nerve strain. Nerve strain from constant signaling occurs when the nerves are overworked due to continuous stimulation, which can lead to slower response and even damage over time if the nerves don't get enough rest. So even with both of these two powers, her body could pay a price like overheating from invisibility or muscle burnout from force field.